to the Lilydale Astrology Cafe. It's always a pleasure to have all of you visit us on YouTube or Facebook or on my own page. I am your host, Patricia Bell. And yes, I'm a registered medium in Lilydale. And yes, I am a 5-decade astrologer. Vintage though I may be, I have been blessed to be able to work with some of the brightest and the best. And I'm even more blessed because today we have one of the people who I think is one of the best astrologers out there. And my dear friend who is creative and magical. Thank you, Franco, for being here. Uh, love your work. And can you tell us how astrology walked into your life in a magical way?
All right. Well, thank you, Patricia, for having me, and I think you're absolutely wonderful myself. And seriously, people out there, if you want a medium, unbelievable what Patricia can do. Um, how did I get into astrology? Well, I'm an engineer and by day, and very, science oriented. I always had this other side, musical side to me, and my sister called me up, and she was studying with a Toronto astrologer called Julie Simmons, and she was taking classes and all that. My sister called me up. At the time, I was living down in Detroit. She calls me up, and I remember this night. She goes, "Oh, do you want to hear what my astrology teacher said about you?" And I go, "Yeah, okay, whatever. Go ahead." And she says a bunch of stuff that describes me quite succinctly. Well, I say, "Well, yeah, you probably told her that." And she goes, "No, all I gave her was your birthday, the time you were born, and the place you were born." And I said, "And she got all that." "Oh, get out of here. What nonsense." And so, not much came of that. I had moved back to Canada, and that's when my wife and I decided to split up. And my sister says, "Oh my goodness, you're going to go see my astrologer, and I'm paying for it." And I'm going, "Oh, okay, whatever, you're paying for it." And it's like this hocus pocus. Anyway, so we're sitting there in the reading, and Julie's going, "You've got this and this and this." And it's like, or "You are like this and this and this." And I said, "Why did you say that?" "Because you have this planet and this house and blah blah blah, and it's interacting with it." And I'm going, huh. Keep in mind, I'm an engineer. I like to see how things work. No matter what it is, I'm always interested in finding out how things work. For instance, when I was down in Detroit, I was playing with a band, and our drummer was a short order fry cook. And so, like, I'm the type of person who wants to know, okay, so you're a cook. You're cooking for all these people. It's lunchtime rush. How do you do it? And he says, "Well, if it's steak special, I know so many people like it well done, so I start these here." And he told me his whole system. So that's what I like learning. So throughout the whole reading, it was like, "Well, why did you say that?" "Well, because you have this here and that here and that." "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah." And I was totally blown away by it. And I remember one of the things she told me, too, and, she said, "You're not an engineer, but I see how you could do it. You're really an artist." And I've always been into art, painting, fashion, all this kind of stuff, creative at the theater and all this kind of stuff. And so like, here I am, sitting listening to someone tell me, "You're not really an engineer, this is where your soul is." And it's like, wow, okay, there must be something to this. And after that, I had a couple of psychic premonitions about a few things, and I was talking to another friend, and I said, "Well, it's weird. It's almost like I'm psychic." And she goes, "Maybe you are." Okay, now that's a stretch because, again, here's this engineer. I've done science my whole life, math, and things have to add up. And I'm going, I'm psychic. Okay. So I said, okay, let's go with that. What do I do to develop it? She said, get a deck of tarot cards. Okay, so I got a deck of tarot cards, and then yeah, that got me on the path of learning about esoteric arts and the occult and stuff. And then it was around 2000 I started taking classes with Julie Simmons, and haven't looked back.
Well, I can vouch for your artistic being because first of all, I'm waiting for your another CD because you do still play music and your paintings are awesome. But I'm going to tell a secret to this group of people online. If you ever see Franco's shoe collection, it is absolutely blow your mind. I don't know where you got these men's shoes. They are absolutely stunning. Oh, and it's like, to me, when I see your shoes, when you're traveling a great deal, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like magically walking from one place to another. It just absolutely. So I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, how artistic you are, but I also know what a great astrologer you are too.
Thank you. Well, if I could give a shameless plug to where I get my shoes, John Fluvog out of Vancouver. And the reason why Patricia sees my shoes when I travel, a university friend of mine used to do a lot of traveling, and whenever he was waiting in the airport, he took a picture of his feet sitting there. So I copied that, and that's where I get my shoes. Now, the thing is with my shoes, this is really interesting. We were doing a Halloween ritual or Samhain ritual one year. And in the ritual, we were calling on all the ancestors down our lineage that we can possibly name. And so I went far, great grandfather, I think, is as far as I went. I only had a couple of names. But then I realized why I like shoes so much. My dad was supposed to be, before he came to Canada and became a bricklayer, he was supposed to be a shoemaker like his father.
Oh!
And like his father before him. My dad's father was the town shoemaker. But I also like clothes, and my older sister was in the fashion industry. Well, she worked for a fashion magazine. She was the publisher. And why do we like clothes so much? Well, it turns out that my uncle was a tailor, so my mom's brother was a tailor, just like his father before him, like my grandfather, and then grandfather before them. So while I don't build shoes, I've got my dad's shoe anvil here, I wear them.
And they are awesome. You're going to have to type that name of that shoemaker somewhere in the, so that we all can look him up.
Oh, women's shoes are even better. Us guys have a limited selection. The women is unbelievable for their shoes.
Well, I think it's very symbolic because as we're talking about astrologically, we're really walking into a new world. And because we're walking into a new world, that I keep hearing that song, these shoes are made for walking, you know? So why not create beautiful shoes to go along with the beautiful dream that we have? And it's because I think people need to see that and to see themselves as beautiful because beauty heals.
Yeah, and it also makes you feel good about yourself. I'll put on, depending on my mood, I got different shoes. As sort of like if I feel funky, I'll wear these shoes. If I feel a bit more serious, I'll wear that pair of shoes. And remember the Bugs Bunny cartoon where Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, there was a truck that gets blown up or falls off the bridge, and all these hats come down, and Bugs Bunny is wearing the Admiral hat, and he's like General MacArthur, and and then they have a hunter hat, and then the bowler, so they're very sophisticated. It's kind of like doing that, It's sort of like you take on the persona. But then again, for a person who has his ascendant ruler in Pisces, it's like, Pisces is fashion, so that's one thing, and then it's also very, well, it's very mutable, right? It goes with the flow. So it's how's the feeling today? So it's really interesting having that dynamic in my chart, that I kind of like, I'm almost chameleon-like in my wardrobe. I can go from looking very dapper in a suit, sports coat, and all the way to a funky goth or just a plain. Okay, I never wear track pants going out. I'll always put on a pair of pants, but wearing track pants around the house. So it's kind of like, where's the mood? What's it taking me?
Well,
That's a funky
this is
thing.
wonderful because, Franco, darling, you have shown in this podcast in a few seconds how fun being an engineer and an artist can be put together even as an astrologer. You
Well,
know?
yeah, and on that point too, I met another astrologer after going to conferences, and God bless Donovan Towan, who gave me my first conference speaking engagement at the SOTA conference. I met Alfie Lavoie, who
Yes.
is also an engineer, or was a long time ago. But he told me about his research group that he runs, and I got involved with him. And I apply research techniques with my astrology. It allows me to give me a better picture of understanding. Sometimes you'll be sitting in a lecture and you hear someone, you say, hey, if you have this signature, it means this. And then, studying with Alfie, it's like, well, let's see if that's actually valid. Let's take a bunch of charts and take a control group and compare these two groups to see if that claim is valid. Because if everyone else has the same characteristic, then maybe that characteristic on its own doesn't represent what they're saying. So for me, that's where the engineering mind kind of goes, ha ha ha, ha, let me play.
Awesome. So tell me, what are you going to share with us this June for what's coming up?
Okay, so I started looking at when you first mentioned, and said we were going to be discussing for June. I started looking into it. But what I noticed is really it happens around, well, the exact conjunctions, well, exact uh, culmination of this aspect occurs on July 8th. And what it is we're going to have Neptune. Let me pull up the chart here. So Neptune is in Aries, and it will make a trine to Uranus, and Neptune in Aries makes a trine to Pluto. And so they come exact. And so, I'm looking at the world and going, huh, what do I do with this? Now, another plug for Alfie Lavoie's software, he's got a program called Super Search. And in Super Search, if I can pull it up here, no, wrong software.
For those of you who don't know Alfie, he's 92 years old. He has been one of the most brilliant astrologers for decades and decades. We're lucky to have his programs because we don't really get to see that much of him anymore, do we, Franco?
No, well, I call him once a week at least, and so I'm usually in the know, and we talk and exchange ideas and concepts. Um, yeah, so hang on. Do I really want? Sorry, I opened the wrong program here. Okay, gone. Okay, so this configuration that we're in now actually kind of started in the middle of 21, 22, 23, 24, uh, 2021, 22, 23, 24, at the middle of 2024, and it's culminating again, culminated again at the end of the year, and it's coming again July, and it's going to last until the end of 26, 27, in around the middle of the year. It's going to culminate again, where these planets are going to be in an exact orb. And then again in 28, and again in 29. So it's kind of progression. These planets are going to be playing with each other. So I asked Super Search, did this occur previously? So I set the timer to 0 and then ran it to 2060. So when I ran it at 20, all of this, the last time we had this configuration occurred in the year 478, and it kind of lasted until about 481. So I said to myself, what happened during that period? So, you call in a Google search and pull it up. Interestingly enough, between the year 477 to 483, we saw the beginning of the decline of the Western Roman Empire. Now, it wasn't all and I looked into the decline of the Roman Empire. It didn't happen, there was one event and then boom, it was gone. It was a gradual losing of power. The Western Roman Empire collapsed. Power was shifted over to the Eastern Roman Empire. There was also, it says here that the Byzantine Empire, Emperor Zeno, he was facing some internal strife within his group, so he had his military commander killed. Also in China, around 1790, Emperor Shun is assassinated, and the Liu Song dynasty ends, and the Southern Qi dynasty is officially established during this time frame. So what I found interesting too is the placement. So right now we have Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus in Sagittarius. During that period, Uranus was in Gemini, Neptune was in Libra, and Pluto was in Leo. So it was actually the polar opposite. So again, if you look across the signs, they have a similar dynamic between them when you go across. So what it's saying right now, it looks like there's going to be a couple of dynasties starting to kind of fall apart. And there are, if you look at the geopolitical situation right now, you can see that there are some things that are starting to happen in that way. First and foremost is the sway of the United States. President Trump declares war on Iran, and they start bombing it, and he looks around and says, hey, who's bombing with me? Other than Israel, and who's bombing along with me? And all these nations are going, nope, we're good. We don't need it. No, thank you. When maybe about 10, 15, 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. It would have been, everyone would have been going, okay, let's do this. The other one we're seeing is Russia, too, with the Ukraine war. Before they had influence, and they were in everywhere. Who lost the election just recently in Hungary? his buddy, Putin's buddy, right? His the good confidant, supporter, backer, and he's gone now. Um, Plus, there's the blockades against Russia, and right now he's scraping for power. So there's a couple of things happening there in that respect.
Could also this Neptune Pluto be a transformation to another type of energy source instead of just oil?
Yeah, Neptune is oil. Basically, it was really discovered in around that time frame. So, but the Neptune in Aries is the fight for oil, isn't that? Isn't that
Yeah,
in it?
it definitely is, but Pluto could say something else because it's there for a while, and isn't it? Just like the number of years. It's like you want to fight for oil? Um, you know, maybe you have to change regimes and change energy systems, possibly.
Well, but yeah, Pluto's doing that. As far as my engineering work, half my work is involved in the military. Either be it fighters or weaponry. And we're starting to see a big change, especially with the Ukraine-Russia war. Tanks were a major factor, and in reading some of the publications that they're, Defense News and various periodicals like that, tanks are now moving away because you could see that the Ukrainians came up with this drone, and even the Iranians were using that to fire back in retaliation. Is the drone warfare? So this is changing warfare. So that's the Pluto in Aquarius using technology to change things. Some of the developments in China with their robotics, their advanced robotics, where these things, like the Terminator, it's like the Terminator. So there might not have to have foot soldiers because you're going to send in the battle drones, the battle bots, the rocket socket robots. If you remember those as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at some of China's uh, baby maker robots that they have, and that they actually are bur- creating babies inside of a robot. And I also just saw how they have these new machines that for people who are in wheelchairs that they put around their waist and get them to walk again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much going to happen. So let's say that person who's been in a wheelchair or they're aging, they don't have to be that way anymore. So that makes us dream a different dream, doesn't it?
Mm, yes.
But as my mother used to said, people need people. And for as much technology as we have, we still need to be creative and loving and fun.
Yeah, but so there's the Uranus and Gemini. People are starting to develop, you know, relationships with AI, with ChatGPT. There's the one child, I forget what country that the kid was in, and ended up killing himself because ChatGPT, or whatever software he was using, told him that that was a good idea, and so he killed him, committed suicide. So people are now starting to have relationships with it, and even my use. So, I'm starting to use it a bit more just to kind of like get information. Pulling up some of this information, you ask, the internet, and AI pulls it up for you, and you got all the data there. Obviously some of it you might have to check over, but the thing is, it also remembers. Oh yeah, so you're into astrology. Here, let me tell you what. It was like, whoa. It's like, so it even remembers what I'm into.
It does. And I understand there's other like Claude or other um, different venues which are similar to ChatGPT that are coming out that have maybe more restrictions to child safety and other aspects. Quite frankly, I don't know, and I think you, as an astrologer, when our clients come to us, they really want us, that vibration of somebody that helps them feel safe so they can explore the aspects they're going through. I don't know how a machine can do that. I mean, yes, it can give you information, but does it really touch that emotional piece inside of you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Does it? I don't know. Can it? Will it one day be able to do that? Um, yeah, but you're right. It's the feeling. Yeah, when you're sitting across from a person, you feel the person's vibration, and yeah, there's sort of vibration electrons going through the computer, but it's not the same as talking to a person that you can relate to,
I
and the person,
know.
you give a story, you tell a story, you tell them, hey, I went through a similar thing, so, let me tell you my experience and how I went through, and this got me through. Now might not be good for you, but like here's some ideas where you can get away or take away from this, and I can recommend, if a person needs counseling or something, you can recommend a counselor that can listen to them and understand where they're coming from.
And also, it's just that human connection. Now, I know there are many of my friends, uh, they don't want to talk to, as they call it, the robot on the telephone. They want a human being that's going to help them when they have their bills to pay or have questions to ask. And I have also found, because I was asking some questions to AT&T in regards to my service, that the robot couldn't answer
Yeah.
because it was just directly to me, and they were not programmed for someone in my age group or where I lived or etc., or my youth, or all of that. And so they finally
Yeah.
said, the robot said to me, we are now transferring you to a representative.
Well, at least it knew that much. No, so my wife had to do some stuff for taxes, and she says there's absolutely no way I'm calling anyone. I'm going into the bank. I'm going to sit down with a person, and so she went to the local branch and sat down and talked to someone to get something done. Yeah, we're going to have to kind of play this by ear. One of the worst things that I think is going to come out of AI is, the art that gets generated, music. Some people are, oh yeah, get AI to write a song for me, and it goes through and will create a song with lyrics and everything.
Well, again, uh, I know that it's all a vibration, but AI doesn't have the same vibration as you and I in our soul and our heart, and you know that each person has a song inside of them, and mediumistically, that's how I feel someone when they come through. It's almost as though there's this song that addresses them. To me, it's a vibration. I don't know how I really can verbalize it, but let's say you think about me, and it's like I feel you as this kind of song. And to me, that's really kind of interesting because spirit loved ones to me come to me that way as well.
Yeah, well, going back, I was reflecting on this aspect that I was talking about, this sextile with Neptune in the middle, with Pluto and Uranus on either side. how is this affecting music? So people are talking about creating music using AI. So if you look at it, Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, it's technology affecting music. And this has actually been going on for a while. You know, being older, we listen to bands like if you go and listen to Led Zeppelin, on Led Zeppelin 3, you can hear the bass pedal uh, squeaking, the bass drum pedal squeaking in it. Um, there's a mistake in again Led Zeppelin 3 where the producer says stop, and they didn't edit that out. Music was alive. Nowadays, music is click tracks and programming, and it just doesn't have the vibe of music from before all this technology came out. Bands used to go into the studio and record. Now what we're getting all our information and CGI in all the movies. Half the actors just kind of stand there and then they puppeteer them using computer manipulation. That's
Well, AI will never be another Freddie Mercury. And, it really says something to you because as you talk about the Hungarian politics, the song they were singing was We Are the Champions. And where did they get that from? Freddie? Yeah, absolutely. And the man was a creative genius, and he never let it be stale. And his collaboration with his bandmates was such an integral part to me of their success.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't what we're coming into, and it seems like a lot of people were kind of. It's in the movie, the Lego Movie. I don't know if you've ever seen the Lego Movie. Everything is awesome. It was the same song being played over and over again. I love that movie, and it cracked me up because that's basically what commercialized radio stations are like. I personally support my local university radio station. They're on the air. They have DJs who know the music, play the music, find the music, and buy the music, right? As opposed to someone saying, "You're 9 o'clock. You're playing this song. At 9:05, you do station identification. At 9:07, you play this song." Then they have request hour where people call, and of course they're going to request the same two songs, and they'll play the same two songs. Unlike, college radio or listener sponsored radio like the jazz station we have here, where they play jazz and blues and music like that, where it's the programmer has full entitlement on what they're playing, not this robotized playlists. Again, this is the Pluto and Aquarius, the controlling technology to get people to think and buy, or not think and just buy.
Yeah,
That's
mindless
what I meant.
sort of aspect it is. But I love live music. When I am in a room and there are, whether it's a classical concert or opera or jazz or bluegrass, the vibration of human beings playing music alive for me has a really amazing impact. And I know that that vibration can intune my level of even involvement as far as upliftment and things like that, that you go to live music and you want to be there. But I agree with you. Not everybody is in alignment with that. And, but yet, we will have to see. I don't know that people want to give up live music yet.
Well, some of the bigger performers, which who do the arena shows, half of them don't even really sing their own songs. They're singing to a backing track. It's like people have been caught doing it too. It's sort of, they're not live. So, I usually try and see bands in smaller venues so that you can feel that vibration. You can be near them. You watch them playing. I'm following their fingers going, okay, yeah, that's cool. Oh, I didn't realize he was playing the bass all the way up there. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. And it's like you get the vibe from them. But yeah, again, we're from a generation that we grew up that way.
We did, we did. I had so wished that you were coming to Lilydale, but I understand you're not. So, I, you're very busy. You've got your career, you've got all kinds of things, and of course, you're in Canada, and we're in an orange bubble nowadays, which is sort of slowing down our Canadian friends for joining us here stateside, which really saddens me because I love Canada. I've worked in Canada for Massey Ferguson, and to me, I love Canadian people.
We love you guys too, and yeah. Unfortunately, I can't be there. But what's your talk going to be on?
Well, it's so interesting we're talking about music because I'm talking about Urania, who is considered the goddess of astronomy and astrology. She is a muse. She is a muse of the celestial voices. And yes, most people don't realize that. And she also has the energy of unconditional love. So, what I'm going to do is in my 90 minutes on Wednesday morning, I am going to be presenting eclipse charts because everybody gets used to eclipses. And the Japanese had a wonderful saying, an eclipse is the one time where the sun and moon get to be together to be in love. And so
Oh,
I thought,
okay.
wow, here's Urania, unconditional love. Let's see what she has to say during these eclipses. And so I've done the chart starting with the eclipse that crossed on April 8th, 2024, to take us all the way through 2026 to see what Urania's message is. Now, Urania's charts are going to be there, but there is also going to be sound, music. My master's degree was thesis was how music could heal the earth. And so, uh, even though I'm not the musician you are, but I love it, music is a part of my soul and spirit. So, that is going to be interwoven in a very interesting way so that people get to have an experiential. And I think that's what I think our souls and spirit needs, the experience of how does an aspect feel, especially when she's coming to ask us for unconditional love and what's going on in the chart at that time. Because, as you know, the moon is our emotions and the sun's our consciousness. And these are the times where these eclipses really come talk to us.
Yeah, and that's probably why they're so powerful because you're doing that with them. It's sort of like here's reality and here's your hidden reality, and now, yeah, they're one. What are you going to do with it?
Well, I want to thank you for being here. But before you leave, you have to tell us how to get in touch with you. Your For people who would like to have readings or get attached to your newsletter or Instagram. And so tell us that first.
Okay, my email address is Franco, Franco, at Soulbody, SOULBODY.ca. My website's www.soulbody.ca, and also my Instagram is soulbody.ca or underscore ca or something like that, I think. And yeah, and I've got I'm on X as well under Soulbody and Threads and Blue Sky as well. And I
Yes.
post my monthly horoscope on there, or pictoscopes. So I post a picture with your monthly horoscope. So look out. You can read your June one now, or you can read your July one next month.
How wonderful. How wonderful. So, my final question is, if you could tell anybody, what do you feel they should know for this transformation?
I think you know it's about understanding your place in the giant cog of the machine. You have to understand why you're here, and realize that you can only work with the energy that's around you, your family that's around you, your friends that are around you, and realize everyone has their own mission in life. And if you take those and work with each other to empower your dreams, to think outside the box. And what's happening with the world now, you cannot hang on to outdated dogma or outdated belief systems. Oh, well, I've always done things this way. We have to look forward and embrace what's coming. That's where societies break down, is if they stay too much in the past and hang on to their sense of self. It's realizing that we have to interact with everyone. Yes, you are an individual. Yes, you have your own goals, but realize everyone else has that, and we have to work together in order to achieve it.
Thank you for that, Franco. And I do hope that we get to see you in Lilydale. I know it's not this year, but you're always welcome. You know, you have a place in my home, and of course, in my heart. So I look forward to being with you, and I thank you for being on this podcast now. You bring to the table a very special understanding for people who may have started off as engineers to find out that they are artists at heart.
Well, thanks again for having me, and
Blessings,
blessings.
blessings, blessings.